Welcome to the Arrow Podcast. My name is Chris Mulvaney. Today I have Joe Giamanco with me, the COO of CMDS. It's really nice to have you at the table, Joe.
Chris, thank you for having me. I'm excited. It's my first one. I've seen a lot of your podcasts, and I've been jealous that I haven't been asked to be on one yet, but here we are today. So thank you. I'm excited for what we're going to be talking about today.
Usually you're wearing a vest, and today you're not. So
Yeah.
I was debating whether or not I even wanted to have you
Yeah,
on
exactly.
because you're wearing the vest.
You caught me off guard, but at least I'm somewhat presentable. So.
Yeah, this is right. We'll fix that in post editing.
Yes, exactly.
You've been here for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
What?
Time flies.
I know, it's bananas. What do you think in your tenure here has been the biggest challenge, and how have we overcome that challenge from your perspective as COO?
I would say hiring, finding good talent. I mean, the talent we have here is awesome, but trying to build that bench of talent and finding good talent has been a challenge.
I think all of our clients are feeling that right now.
Yeah,
Like every single person we talk to is having that same exact problem.
Definitely. I talk to anyone from, a manager at McDonald's to, big industry CEOs, and they're all having the same issue. And it's strange because when you look at the labor pool out there, you talk to people, and so many people are looking for jobs, but yet we can't find when we're hiring. It's where's the disconnect?
Right.
Can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's also no good, in my opinion, there's really been no good platforms to find
100%.
people.
Yeah. LinkedIn hasn't been very good. Indeed sucks. There's nothing. Referrals are always the best. But it's been really challenging in general for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
the process has been more about bringing everybody within the organization up, and then hiring junior and training them as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's if you're not in need of crisis and you have the ability to do that, that's great. We talked about the Wounded Warriors program and trying to bring people in from there and train them up too, which is going to be nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about that for sure. Yeah, that was something. I was talking to somebody about that yesterday. Actually, I have a soft spot for sure for veterans. My father is a vet, and a lot of these guys are lost and don't have opportunity to get jobs, or just don't have direction afterwards. And if we can help them learn about business, learn about marketing, and then if they're into it and we have a position open for them, get them an opportunity at the agency, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty eye-opening. When I spoke to the guy, Hector, that runs that program, and he, when he talked about setting up that webinar that you're going to do, he said that there's going to be, he's got to set it up because there's going to be some challenges. There's going to be people that are physically challenged or mentally challenged, but yet they don't turn anyone away, being able to attend this webinar, so they need enough time to, and you think about that, you don't realize what these vets, go through and the sacrifice. And so to give back I think is awesome.
Yeah. So there was a moment, it's pretty touching. I was in South Carolina at the airport coming back, Charleston, and they had a plane a couple years ago, unloading of wounded vets, wounded warriors, and they rang a bell every time somebody was wheeled out or like hobbled out. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Families were there crying. It was nuts. Just a crazy experience.
It is, unless you have a family member that's done it or been through. You kind of take it for granted that these young men and women are over there fighting and and coming back, whether it's physically or mentally. And that's even more so than the physical is the mental aspect. Right. So many of these vets come back with mental issues.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So however we can help them and support them I think is awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to get going on that. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So outside of finding good talent, what do you think has been another challenge overall for the organization, and even for our clients maybe over the past few years?
Yeah, I think just growth overall, just trying to find client acquisition and trying to find the right fits. I mean, listen, we focus, as we say, B2B, service-based companies, and trying to find client acquisition's been tough, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, referrals are great, and we, rely on that. But you and I have been hard at work trying to work outside that network and work our networks, and obviously using different tools.
Yep.
And it's been tough, right? And we're not alone. You talk to other business owners, and everyone's got the same challenge.
Yep.
So that's been, you want to grow, but it's like, how do you do it with staying within your lane,
right.
and not just like we talk about, a mile wide and an inch deep versus, a mile deep and an inch wide.
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think some of the stuff that we've been doing that I've noticed over the past few years and our clients notice is like leads through LinkedIn specifically, just from building brands,
Right.
Like we had that one excellent lead that also knew a few of our clients. He found me through LinkedIn, and it's a matter of being out there, being aggressive. Like we're not a cheap price point. So the possibility of somebody wanting to Google for what we provide and us be the correct result is slim and none. Like we don't do $500 websites. So,
right.
Or even marketing or business consulting, like we're a higher ticket item. So it's like we already have a challenge there. We're doing marketing for like a 3PL or engineering firm. We can do help with client acquisition there because it's a little bit more specific to their service. Like somebody needs their service,
right.
And somebody might need our service. It's just there are so many options out there compared, and everybody's promising the world and delivering GOTS,
exactly. And you know what? I don't care how successful your business is and what the revenue is. Everyone's going to lead in with the price point.
Right.
And some people will understand the quality and what they're getting.
Value.
And the value. Exactly. So getting that message across that, we're boutique-ish and, you get what you pay for and some. It's like
right.
the old, car scenario. You're going to pay more for the Mercedes versus the Honda, but you're getting so much more value. And
right.
that's what we have to get that message across to people, the value we deliver.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why I think the referrals are so great because it's coming straight out of
right.
the mouth of a current client that these guys are awesome. Like,
Yep.
So that sales cycle is easier, but it's unpredictable.
100% unpredictable. Yeah. And so like that's where having multiple irons in the fire is going to be beneficial for any organization, and has been beneficial for us. We do a lot on Instagram and and LinkedIn. And I remember I had somebody say to me, "Why focus so much on Instagram if you're a B2B?" And I'm like, "Well, all these people, or a large percentage of them, I'm actually friends with on Instagram.
Yeah.
My clients, prospects." They're still on social media. It's
right.
not like they're like, oh, I'm going to put my business hat on today. I'm just on LinkedIn. And when I go to social, I'm just going to be, thinking personal. But I'd say a dozen clients/prospects look at my posts every day.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a great tool. I think, just from my personal experience, when I go home at night or on the weekends and I'm winding down, like I find myself more on that platform. I mean, I only have Instagram. I don't have Facebook. I do have LinkedIn, but I find myself more on Instagram than I do LinkedIn. So, and I think a lot of, people in our same position are doing the same thing.
Yep. Yeah. Just got to like show personality.
Yeah.
Be real, be fun, engaging. And then they'll care. They'll want to see what you're up to.
And I think to that point too, something else we talked about is getting out, attending more events,
right?
FaceTime and showing, what we're about and talking about it in person, I think helps too.
Yep.
Because there's only so much you can get across on a device, right?
Yep. A lot of times people will hire a marketing agency or an advertising agency thinking that that's going to be the end-all solution, or even like a sales guy, a full-time sales guy. And it's really like a mixed bag. They all have to work together, Like you need to build your brand and have great brand recognition. So when you introduce yourself, they've heard of you.
Yeah.
When they're ready to make a purchasing decision, your brand's top of mind. Like those things are important. And the more marketing can do to like pre-sell and help somebody in the sales department close their opportunity faster, the greater job like we've done.
Absolutely.
But it's also, like you said before, providing value. Like, not just give me business. Let's make this transactional. It's like, well, how am I going to help you, business, change your life or get better at your job? You know, and what's a value for you to know?
Right. No, and we talk about this often. It's a partnership. Right. We're not a vendor.
Right.
We're a partner. So you look at us as another arm of your, another tool in your belt of your company, right?
Yep.
Because once you draw that line of it's a vendor relationship, then that's all you are is a vendor. And, there's no additional value.
Yep.
So I think that's important too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the fact that we treat every client that way I think is huge.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like that's one thing, coming from a big agency before this 22 years ago, and like seeing how their relationships were with their clients. I mean, that was a different time. But even just the employees, how they were treated, it was like, man, I wanted to be in a place where people gave a shit a little bit,
Yeah.
And I could say we truly give a shit here. Happy birthdays, gift cards, like, a baby's born, we send a nice blanket, like,
Right.
Hey, did you see this is what your competitor is doing? And we'll flick an email out. Oh, I saw this event. Are you going? Should we serve ads around that location for
Right.
you? Like.
Yeah, I think there's always a time and a place for that personalization. Even though business is business, but still, you want to develop a relationship with your clients,
Yep.
and I think doing stuff like those little touches are very important.
Yep.
And listen, if the client feels it's getting too personal, they'll
They'll
know.
pull back. Yeah.
They'll pull back, and
yeah.
you'll know. They don't even have to tell you.
I don't think I've had that experience
No,
yet.
I was just going to say, since I'm here, we haven't
Yeah.
had that experience. I think it's been more and more and more,
Right.
Which is great.
Yep.
And then you see someone out at a bar or a restaurant, and it's easy to approach
Yeah.
and have a conversation. And it's just like you're in sync.
Yeah. Yep.
So, which is awesome. you know.
The Arrow Podcast is brought to you by CMDS, a business breakthrough agency helping brands reinvent and reignite themselves at the core. We work with B2B companies to help them figure out how they're unique and remarkable in their own space, then leverage that information to build great websites, awesome social media strategies, and leadership content that's going to drive more brand awareness to their company. If you're looking to learn more about how we can help you achieve extreme business growth, please reach out to CMDS at 732-706-5555, or you can visit us online at cmdsonline.com. So yesterday we had a State of the Union meeting here where we met with the team and we talked about 2024 accomplishments and 2025, what was happening, so far and what we plan on doing for the remainder of the year, some of the things we set out to do. And we had a good time with the team for about 4 hours. What were some of the big moments in that State of the Union maybe that stood out to you where you felt everybody was like really engaged and kind of on board and giving input and advice?
Yeah, I think one of the big points was when we set our goals, our target revenue numbers.
Yeah.
I think everyone was really engaged on, making sure that we hit our or set realistic targets.
Yes. Yep.
We're going to acquire X amount of clients in this service line, X amount of clients in this service line. We're going to, set realistic expectations. Listen, it's nice to set goals and have, lofty goals because everyone wants to aspire and achieve, but you also have to be somewhat realistic, especially for the team, because otherwise they feel like if it's unrealistic, it's just an uphill battle. Like, what are we really doing, you know?
Yep.
So I think they were very engaged, and I think that was nice to see that everyone participated in that piece.
Yep.
For me, that was one of the biggest because listen, everyone wants to achieve growth, right?
Yep.
So how do you get there? You got to have that roadmap,
Yep.
And there's no I in team, so everyone's involved. It's not just you and I at the top.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So I thought that was
great.
That was nice to see.
And even like guys like John, who has been with me for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Was like, this is the most realistic goal setting sheet I've ever seen.
Exactly. And it's like, when we start playing with the numbers, meaning, service lines and how many clients can we get, in this service line, this service line, this service line. And at the end of the day, it's all about the number, right? You're achieving your bottom line number and growth, because rising tide lifts all boats. So we grow, and it's not just for the employees, because obviously they benefit, but our clients too, because then we can invest back into the business and we can offer more things to the clients.
100%.
You know?
Yeah. And, I think, the big mind shift for a lot of employees, this is a conversation we had a few years ago, was that clients hire us for a result, right? And if we're not showing them opportunity to get that result, then we're doing them a disservice, right? So, and yes, our time is worth money, and we have to charge for that. But I think when you go through everything that we need to do to accomplish our revenue goals, and we went through a list of, we want to split this up between new client acquisition and some of our existing clients. It's like, all right, well, in order for these clients to achieve their goals, like what else should they be doing that they're not doing?
Yeah.
And like, let's talk to them about, these things. And if they want to do it, we'll show them the value. If they want to do it, great. If they don't, then that's fine too. But at least we've showed them, because we've also been in situations where clients have been like, hey, we got this email from this other person and we're not doing this, right? Like the one I hear all the time is, hey, we're not ranking on these 3 search phrases.
Right.
And this other company reached out. And I'm like, okay, well, first let's take a step back. These 3 search phrases don't have buyer intent associated with them at all, and will probably not drive any traffic that you want to your web presence.
Right.
So right then and there, that's bullshit too. We're not doing SEO for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're not doing it. So would you like to discuss, a content development strategy so we can build out more pages on your website? We want to make sure that you tell the client as much as possible and, work with their budget and try to get them to realize that they should be spending around 8-9% of their gross revenue on marketing,
right,
which a lot of them are not thinking.
That's an eye-opening. Whenever we mention that, our clients are like, wow, they're spending a fraction of that.
Bananas, right? Yeah. So an easier way to think about this is net profit on a project, right? So let's say you net $30,000 on a project.
Right.
1/3 of that should be what you'd be willing to spend to acquire a client, right?
Yeah.
So $10,000 should be what you should be willing to invest to get one client on that service, right? And people are like, oh wow, that's a lot of money, but it's not in comparison to everything that you're doing, and
absolutely,
you think of the lifetime value of the client, so let's say a client is most likely or highly likely to renew after a year. It's a monthly service,
right? Man,
you should be spending even more than that, 33% of net,
exactly. And I think we do that here. And a lot of the clients don't realize that, that what's going back into, even things like just education and soft skill development and things for our team.
Right.
And, the money that we spend on doing that to better the service that we're providing for them.
Right.
Yes, they're paying for it, but you have to stay ahead of the time.
Right.
With the the landscape of technology and AI and everything that's coming down the pipe.
Algorithms are constantly changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we got to be out in front of that. But I think one thing that you said there, I think is key, is educating the client.
Right. Yeah.
They have to, if they don't understand it, it's like anything else. If you don't understand it, you don't have an education on it, well, then you have a different expectation.
Right.
Altogether.
Yep. 100%. Yeah.
So I think that's key, and I think we do a good job of that.
Yep.
Educating our client, especially out of the gate.
As long as out of the gate for sure. And then it's a lot of our clients put us on autopilot because we do what we do, and they love us, right? And it's like, all right, well, we need to meet, trying to get them to come in is sometimes like pulling teeth, but then every once in a while something happens. They have a gap in their calendar. They're like, all right, let's do it. But if we could do more goal setting. So we do goal setting for our clients now when we do these business breakthrough boot camps, right? We do the 1, 3, and 5 year goals, and it's great. And if we can touch our clients, yearly, more, right? We do it with some of our clients, but not everybody. But if we could realign the goals yearly and then even break down, okay, how many of what do we need to sell in order to meet that goal, right? We're trying to do 10% increase in gross revenue, or we're doing 20, 30.
Right.
And then breaking that out and making the board and the calendar, by this month we need to sell this much for this service, and make it fun for everybody to be involved.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and it's a plan, it's strategic. It's not just willy-nilly, you know.
Yeah.
You have a direction and a plan. And listen, plans change, so you can alter course as you go along. But to at least have that starting map point is good. It's like, no general is going into battle without a battle plan. It's the same 100%. Thing.
Yep. Yep.
So
what do you think the State of the Union meeting did for everybody overall?
I think it just put everything in perspective in terms of what we accomplished last year.
What we didn't accomplish.
And what we didn't accomplish, and why didn't we accomplish those things,
right.
and why we did accomplish certain things, and what it took to accomplish those things and what it took, or what were the failures as to why we didn't accomplish certain things. So it's all a learning lesson. It's now how can we take that information and use it moving forward for 25?
Right.
And just, it's not, listen, everyone's in business to make money, but it's not all about the money. It's, we want to increase the value that we offer to the clients, and how do we do that? And it's all a learning process, right?
Yep.
I don't want to use the word failure, but I'm going to, like, fail forward.
Right.
That
No, I believe in that.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
So
the more failures you have, the more wins you're going to have later on.
Exactly.
Risk taking is a scary thing for a lot of people. I even coached a bunch of CEOs who are afraid to take risks because they're happy with how things are going, but there's also something, about coasting that's not good, right? Because if you're coasting, you're going downhill.
Yeah.
So I'm a big risk taker. I embrace change. I love change. I like switching it up. Making sure it's smart change, though, not change for the sake of change.
Right.
And sometimes I've been challenged with that, but just making sure that we're evolving and staying ahead of everything, and that's how we achieved growth last year.
Right.
Where I've heard many other agencies I'm friends with have had bad years, lost like 20-30% of their revenue and have 4 employees now from 20, it's like, wow, what's going on?
No, and I think one of the things that you do good is a lot of leaders and CEOs sometimes, depending on revenue and so on, they'll lead like timid or scared, like you're not afraid, you're a risk taker. And you're not afraid to spend the money and or take the risk. It's not, again, doesn't always have to be about money, but to get a result.
Yeah. Yep.
Some people don't realize, like, it's an investment. A lot of these things are investments, not costs.
Right.
And you got to be willing to make those. Yeah, there is a big difference.
Yeah, there's also the cost of not doing it, right? Like,
correct.
What if you don't do it?
Right.
Like we got lazy for a while with our own ads, and not doing as much. We'd boost the post every once in a while, but we're going to be doing around like an average $10,000 a month, I think, in our own, meta ads, not including like anything that we do in LinkedIn, not including, we write a lot of articles. We were doing like 3 or 4 per week for our site, and now we're doing 1 with a video per week.
Yeah.
So that's going to help with organic for sure. Create great leadership content that we can use in LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
We can, leverage LinkedIn newsletter. So that's going to be super valuable, but also like being specific and clever with our targeting, right? So like 3PL is a space we want more clients in. We have, a handful of them in our portfolio right now, but RELA is an event, huge event. It's happening next week, right? So we're doing a pin drop ad targeting the location, and even outside the location, Epcot, a lot of people go to right afterwards. So anybody that will be in Meta or on LinkedIn waiting for food or
exactly, geo-targeting that,
right, bored talking to whoever they're talking to, and like pretending they're being engaged, flicking through LinkedIn or whatever, they're going to see an ad from us, and we're leveraging one of the client testimonials, who is very well known in the space as one of our ads. So they're going to see his face, they're going to see his association with us, and hear that awesome testimonial, which is, we'll put chills on your arm. So super exciting. And then press releases, we just launched a great website for eDre. We're super proud of it. We put a ton of time over what we charged for that project. We probably should have charged twice as much based on what we put in. But I knew that going in, that we wanted to over deliver because of how cool his application is, and he was a referral from a great client as well, so we wanted to do right by him, and we're super proud of it. So I think that is going to get not only his brand a lot of exposure, but us as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we actually have a lead that we got specifically because we did that project and they liked his website.
Right. And listen, that's what it's all about, right? Show and tell. Right. Mm-hmm. I think, getting back to the investment piece and investing back in the business, I think an eye opener yesterday for the State of the Union was when you talked about that Marcus Evans event and what you spent.
Right. Yeah.
And listen, and that's for our benefit in terms of client acquisition, but it's also for the client's benefit, the pharma clients that we have, because it's an education every time you go there.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you're educating, you're learning. What's the industry doing? Yeah, you're trying to acquire clients, but you're also learning what's in the forefront. What are all these leaders in this industry, in this particular instance, the pharma industry? What are they doing?
Right.
So you're staying ahead of that, and you're paying a pretty penny to be there. And I don't think anyone in the organization realized
how much that was
how
costing.
much that was. People are like, wow.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a big lift.
Yeah.
And it's scary because you spend a lot of money, a couple $100,000 to attend 6 meetings. Yeah. And you need to get a client out of that for it to break even, basically. Yeah. And we have a couple of great opportunities in the hopper. But I think that's another thing. Like, not a lot of people that we know, because we talk a lot more in the B2B space, on podcasts and on our website. But we have a whole separate brand, Experienza RX, which is dedicated to pharma. Right. I started in the pharma space before I started the agency. Working for a big agency specifically for pharma, and have been doing it for 25 years. Yeah. So we know a lot about the space. We know a lot about building web properties in pharma, a lot about omni-channel strategy approaches, where to spend money, what vendors to use to make sure you're getting the lowest and best CPMs, so you're targeting MPI numbers the right way and driving good traffic and understanding their journey. Yeah. It's something that I think pharma is behind in a lot of ways. Yeah. And the B2B learnings have definitely helped us, translate some of those tactics and strategies into the stuff that we're doing for our pharma clients today.
I think one thing that I noticed is I think the pharma industry seems to be a little bit more educated around what we do and what we do for them and how it works versus just your,
the big brands, for sure.
The bigger brands. I mean, that's what I've noticed, and it makes our job easier because the education piece is for the most part there already. Yeah. I mean, obviously you're still educating along the way, especially on tactics and the results of those tactics and/or solutions. But but I found that they seem to be a little bit more educated than. I mean, listen, a lot of our clients are educated, but I just think overall they seem to be more.
Yep, yeah. I think the thing that's remarkable about working with large organizations, and specifically in pharma too, is that they have predetermined budgets set for the year and said, yes, they ask for recommendations like what should you spend on paid for 2025, and we do our research and we see what it costs to be in the top 90%, every single time, and we'll recommend a budget, but it's not like smaller businesses, in the $50 million a year range that are like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend, $10,000 in paid. And it's like, well, we should be doing that at least a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So pharma is definitely a different animal, and they are educated in the tactic a lot. Certain things that you wish you can do in pharma, you can't because of regulations. Like we'll run a paid campaign and it's for brand awareness, and then like the conversation about conversions comes up, and it's to talk to an expert, and it's like, okay, well, what are the calls to action? Other than talk to an expert. Like how about there's a guide or something, a video that's gated, something that we can give in exchange for the contact information, as opposed to just like. Expecting them to fill out a form to learn more because they like your website. Like it's not realistic. So, something like that could take 6 to 12 months to implement in a pharma brand. Yeah. And along the way,
you're talking about getting through the compliance and the MLR reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah. So to get through like MLR and that's part of it, but like pharma is also layered. So there's a point of contact that you're dealing with, and like their boss might control spending, and whatever, if they hadn't allocated for website enhancements or the development of a case study or white paper or something like that, and plus like this is specific instance is a phase 3 clinical trial, phase 3 company. So they're cautious about what they're willing to invest. They're also looking at what the competitors are doing in the landscape, and it's like, they're dipping their toe in and not going all out when they should, and there's more opportunity to, So it's fun regardless of the industry for us.
Yeah.
It's, we like having full control, and that's where in pharma we don't a lot of times.
Yeah.
And while some brands will use us as their digital agency of record, some use us just to do reporting and paid and website enhancements,
Yeah. So your hands are tied a little bit because you're not controlling the whole process.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are other agencies maybe involved, even though we're at the table with the conversations, that will be the direction that the organization follows. So
yeah.
So there's only so much you can do every single time.
Right.
But regardless, I think the Marcus Evans events are starting to feel better after 2 years of attending.
Yeah.
And the prospects that I've met are great human beings. A lot of turnover in that space, which is also a challenge. Like,
yeah, there is
50% of the people I met, no longer at the organizations they were, or had gotten a promotion or a switch in job title, and it's no longer applicable for them to make a decision there. So definitely a rolling of the dice. But to your point, yes, I'm willing to spend money to see a return.
Yeah.
And I wish, more of our more people out there, more organizations would do that as well. So.
Yeah, no, and because I respect that, and when we have like our boot camps, and you're talking to these CEOs or C-level executives, and you're telling them that 9% of your revenue should be spent on, well, you're doing it. Right. You're not just you're not just reading a stat and you're not following. You're doing it as well because it's beneficial to the growth of the organization. So because a lot of people will talk and repeat stats, but they don't follow them.
Right, exactly.
But you follow them, which is great.
So you've been here for a couple of years. Tell me about the sales cycle and how that's different from other organizations that you've been at, and even in your own personal business. What's it like here?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, the sales cycle it's a lengthy process to even get a client. Or as I'll call it, a fish on the hook, right? And then once you get that, now it's reeling it in, and that process takes. You don't realize that process to take them to get them engaged, and to the point where now you can talk about pitching them a service, getting them a proposal, and then from that point getting it signed. I mean, that whole process. It's a long sales cycle, is my point.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen once you get someone interested, and even from a referral standpoint too, there's still a sales cycle there. It's shorter.
Yep.
But there's still a process. It's not just, snap your fingers and it's done, like a lot of people think.
Yeah, no. There's two instances that come to mind real quick. One, I had emailed a prospect. It was a cold outreach during COVID for business, and they just went through the boot camp like end of last year, and they want to do business with us. They're not talking to anybody else. They're fixing some internal issues operationally. And then it's going to be go time, but that's 5 years. Very long. And in pharma, so some of these relationships I've developed at these events with people in pharma, if they're still at the organization, it takes time for drug approvals, and it takes time for budgets and investments to happen and go through. So. I've had people that said they were going to start second quarter 2025, and now it's 2026. Yeah. So it's a matter of just staying steady and not forgetting any of these people, and using some sort of tool to follow up, but also carrying along the way. I actually got feedback from one of the guys who runs the events and introduced me to all these pharma companies yesterday. He sent me five messages that people had said about me, and the common thing was the willingness for Chris to help, regardless of the exchange of dollars. Yeah, they were like, I thought it was really nice that he was willing to be involved and look at what we're doing without asking to be or needing to be compensated, and just being a resource. Right. And even one guy was like, I need to have a better dashboard to see all my data. And I'm like, okay, well, let's make sense of that. Let's figure out what's important to you. Yeah. We got on a call, we talked for an hour. It was all personal stuff.
Yeah. and this, it's not like you had a proposal from him, he signed and he's giving you dollars. I mean, so you're, no, absolutely. I think that goes a long way. Yep. And showing, what you do before you're a client, and that just shows that what are you going to do? And honestly, even after someone writes a check doesn't mean, now it's going to get that much more. Like you just said, you're giving just as much in before as you are after, which is awesome.
Yep,
You know?
yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that till after they sign, but
Right.
but it's the reality. I mean, look at the boot camp even.
Right.
You don't charge for it.
I know.
You know, it's a $10,000 to $30,000 investment,
Really.
and you're willing to invest that money and time without even knowing if these people are going to become a client.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So that goes a long way, I think.
Yeah, it's fun for us. You know, I like doing it,
Yeah.
and it feels rewarding. And I mean, you've seen the testimonials and see what people say. Like a lot of people walk out of that and they're like, "Wow, it changed my life."
Yeah.
You know, like that's huge.
No, absolutely.
You know, you're like, "Holy shit!" You know, you want to hear that, but you don't
Yeah.
expect that it has that much of an impact. And even, you know, clients have been with us, you know, since like 2010, go through that process, and they're like, "Wow, you know, we were doing good, but I didn't realize we could be doing great."
Yeah.
And then like really look at their whole internal process and structure and how things should change and
Right.
what marketing they should be doing and how they should change their organization.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about budgeting, you know, unfortunately, I think marketing. First of all, I don't think we know this that companies don't set enough budgets
Correct.
for marketing.
Yep.
But then when they start looking at budgeting and then maybe they need to cut budgets because for whatever reasons, marketing always seems to be like one of the first ones to be cut.
Right.
They don't realize how important it is and what little they're doing from a marketing perspective and how much more they could be doing.
Yes.
If they hire a professional
Yep.
like us, there's so many more avenues. You know, they just, and again, it goes back to the education. They
Yep.
just don't understand,
Yeah.
you know, the full gamut of marketing, right?
Yeah.
It's not what you traditionally think. It's not just, you know, Instagram or LinkedIn. There's so much more to it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Those are the tactics. You know, the strategic part is everything. You know, 'cause
Exactly.
anybody could do the tactics, but if you're not doing it strategically, then it's not going to do anything for you.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, to your point there, I had done a series of videos, you know, back in during COVID about doubling down and spending money when times get tough. And I have 3 clients that have been with me since, you know, way back in the day, like 2008, right? Financial crisis, you know, everything took a shit, you know.
Right.
3 clients, those 3 specific clients were like, all right, we need to double down. What else could we do? Like, this is going to clean out my market, meaning like all my competitors are going to stop spending and I'm going to spend more. So I'll be on top when this thing comes out, you know? So, you know, I learned a lot from that alone. And it's helped me, you know, guide clients when things do get tough. Like, hey, listen, now's the time.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
don't cheap out, you know, just put more into it, you know, find, if you know, you're tight on revenues, find other places to cut because, you know, building your brand and being the only person marketing or one of the only people marketing in a time when nobody else is marketing is only going to drive opportunity to you.
Exactly.
Right? So it's important to remember that and not just think about like that specific moment in time. I mean, like, COVID was brutal. Like, it affected a ton of businesses and there was a trickle down effect to some of our B2B clients. Right. But everybody's out of it. Plus, you know, so, you know, it's just staying the course and going and, you know, investing and not being afraid of, you know, the world ending.
Yeah, no,
it's not
exactly.
gonna happen.
And it's the investment and being consistent with the investment, regardless of the peaks and valleys of the business.
Right.
And I get it. You're going to have peaks and valleys from a revenue perspective, and maybe you adjust your spending accordingly, but you can't make it go away.
Right.
Because it's too critical.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you made a very good point there. When things are tough and people are completely getting rid of marketing budgets, and you're the only one. Well, now you know.
Yeah.
You're top of the game. Exactly. So it's the contrarian. You know, it's like the stock market. When everyone's selling, traditionally, you know, in my past life, when everyone was selling, that's when I wanted to buy.
Right.
You know, when everyone else had the fear.
Right.
You know, I was in there stepping in buying because you know there's opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So. And when you're, you know, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's a risk, and you know, but as long as you're educated properly and you can see the outcome at the other end, and you know you have the staying power, it's is very beneficial.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joey, thanks so much for being on the Arrow podcast. It's great having you on. We'll have to bring you on again and bust your chops or something.
Yeah, definitely. I'll make sure I wear my vest next time.
There you
appreciate
go.
it.
I'm gonna wear one too.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all I'm wearing.
Yeah,
Is this a vest?
That's it. That might be the best podcast yet.
I think so, right? We'll see. You'll probably get a ton of traffic, right?
Yeah. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Great.